My grandparents lived in a place most maps forgot, a hamlet nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains. Every summer, my parents would send me there. It craved their own space, a respite from parenthood, and my grandparents, bless their old souls, doted on me, their only grandchild. Their cabin, cloaked in ivy and shadowed by ancient oaks, held a peculiar charm, a sense of peace that settled uneasily with the heavy air of the mountains. The last time I saw them, I was 8. The drive from the airport was a blur of winding roads and looming trees. Grandma Martha and Grandpa Silas greeted me with open arms, showering me with small, handmade gifts. After a few days, my parents, eager for their escape, left me in their care, promising to return in a fortnight. One sweltering afternoon, I found myself bored and restless, wandering the overgrown yard. Grandpa was tinkering in his workshop, Grandma humming softly in the kitchen. The sun beat down, turning the air thick and heavy. I lay on the grass, watching the clouds drift lazily overhead. As I began to rise, a strange sound sliced through the afternoon stillness. I couldn't quite place it. It seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere at once. It was like someone muttering, a low, droning hum that resonated deep in my chest. The words were indistinct, blurred at the edges. Scanning the yard, I tried to pinpoint the source. My gaze settled on the old stone fence that marked the property line. Something was perched atop it, almost blending into the weathered stone. It was a hat, old and misshapen, as if it had been discarded by a scarecrow. It wasn't on the fence. It was behind it, hovering just above the top, as if someone very tall was standing unseen. That's where the sound was coming from. Then the hat moved. It tilted slightly, revealing a glimpse of something beneath. Someone was wearing it. The hat stopped moving at a gap in the fence, and a face was visible. A woman's face. But the fence was impossibly high. Her neck must have stretched for miles. She couldn't possibly be real. I figured she was on stilts or a very high platform with heels. And she turned and vanished, the droning sound fading with her. Terrified, I ran back to the cabin. Grandma Martha and Grandpa Silas were drinking iced tea at the kitchen table. I tried to tell them what I had seen, but they dismissed my ramblings until I mentioned the sound. A dark cloud seemed to settle over their faces. Grandma Martha gripped my arm, her fingers digging into my skin. What exactly did she look like? How tall? Grandpa Silas demanded, his voice laced with urgency. Was she taller than the fence? He fired questions at me, his eyes wide with a fear I didn't understand. He was running from hallway to hallway and spoke in hushed tones on the phone. He gripped my arm. Grandma Martha, her face pale, went to speak to the neighbor in hushed tones. She pulled me close. "You've been noticed by the High Woman of the Hollows," she whispered, her voice trembling. Just then, Grandpa Silas rushed in. "I have to go out for a while. Stay here with the child. Don't let her out of your sight." His face was etched with a grim determination. A high woman has taken an interest in her. Then he was gone, the tires of his truck spitting gravel as he roared down the driveway. I turned to Grandma. "Who is the High Woman of the Hollows?" I asked, tears welling in my eyes. "Don't worry, Silas will protect you," she said, her voice trying and failing to sound reassuring. While we sat in the kitchen, Grandma Martha explained. There were things that walked the old paths, dangerous things that haunted these mountains. Grandpa Silas called her the High Woman because of her impossible height. According to rumors, the High Woman meant 8 feet tall. They'd always appear as a very tall woman with a droning voice like a man. It took on slightly different forms with each sighting. Some claimed she resembled the gaunt woman in a tattered black dress. Others insisted she was a girl swapped in burial shrouds. The only consistent details were her unnatural height and the deep, droning sound she produced. She would kill in less than a day. Years ago, the local shamans had tried to contain her, trapping her spirit within the ruins of an old church on the outskirts of the village. They used 4 small guardian statues, placed at the cardinal directions, to seal the area, preventing her escape. But somehow she had broken free. Her last appearance was 15 years ago. Anyone who saw her was marked, destined to die within a day. The old stories were all too terrifying, and it was hard to know whether to believe. When Grandpa Silas returned, he was accompanied by a woman named Kendra. Kendra gave me a small, intricately carved wooden amulet, whispering, "Take this, hold it tight." Then, she and Grandpa Silas went into another room. I went to the bathroom, and Grandma Martha followed me, not letting me close the door. Later, Grandpa Silas and Kendra took me upstairs and locked me in a bedroom. The windows were covered with burlap sacks on which ancient symbols were written. 4 small guardian statues were placed in each corner of the room. In the center of the room, on a small wooden stand, sat a miniature Buddha statue. Next to it was a bucket. "What's the bucket for?" I asked. "For when you need to use the bathroom," Grandpa replied. Kendra knelt down and looked me in the eye. "Listen carefully," she said, her voice grave. "You must stay in this room until sunrise. Do not, under any circumstances, open the door. We will not knock or speak to you. Remember, do not open the door for any reason." She paused. "Your parents know what's happening." Her voice was serious, leaving me no room to question. "You must obey Kendra," Grandpa Silas added, "and never let go of the amulet she gave you. If anything happens, pray." Then he told me to lock the door when they left. They exited the room. I shut and locked the bedroom door. I turned on the TV, but I was too frightened to concentrate. Grandma left me snacks, rice snacks and milk. The snacks did nothing to relieve the pressure in my chest. I felt like a prisoner, trapped between fear and confusion. I lay on the bed, waiting, and eventually drifted off to sleep. I woke to find that it was after 1 in the morning. Suddenly, I realized that something was tapping on the windows and the door. It felt like someone was tapping the windows and the door to get in. My heart hammered in my chest, each beat a deafening drum. I tried to calm myself, whispering that it was just the wind, or branches brushing against the glass. I turned up the volume on the TV, trying to drown out the sound. Finally it stopped. Then I heard Grandpa Silas calling my name. "Ani, is that you?" he asked, his voice muffled. "If you're scared, you can come out here. I'll keep you company." A smile flickered across my face. I started to get up and open the door. I froze. Goosebumps erupted across my skin. The voice was definitely Grandpa Silas. But something was wrong. Something was subtly, horribly off. I didn't know what it was, but it was horrifying. "What are you doing?" Grandpa Silas asked again. "You can open the door now, honey." I glanced at the Buddha statue. The white stone began turning black. I backed away from the door, every cell in my body screaming in terror. I dropped to my knees before the statue, clutching the amulet, praying with a desperation I had never known. "Please protect me from the High Woman of the Hollows," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. Then, I heard the voice from the other side of the door, distorted, inhuman. "Open the door." I ignored the voice. And instead, I began praying and crying loudly. I looked back at the Buddha and all of it was now fully black. I glanced at the clock. It was almost 7 in the morning. I carefully unlocked the door. "Grandma Martha," and Kendra stood outside, waiting for me. When Grandma saw my face, she burst into tears. "You're still alive," she sobbed, relief washing over her face. I walked down the stairs and saw my parents sleeping in the kitchen. Grandpa Silas approached. "Quickly," he said, his voice urgent. "We have to leave." We walked out the front door to see a black van waiting, its engine idling. A group of villagers stood near me, pointing at me, whispering. The van had darkened windows. There were multiple men standing guard. Kendra sat in the driver's seat. The left side of the seat began to change color to a dark hue. She looked at me. "We're in trouble," she said, her voice strained. "I know you must be scared, but you have to stay calm and close your eyes. Because I can't see her. Only you can." Grandpa Silas got into a truck. My parents were in the truck behind us. As we began the journey, the smoke convoy set off. We drove slowly over very rocky terrain. "This is where it gets difficult," Kendra said, and began to murmur a soft prayer under her breath. It was then that I heard that familiar voice.